Greetings, all. It's Max, and we're back. And today I'm just going to do a little commentary on this. There's a lot of strong language in it, just kind of a heads up for you, but we're all adults here, right? So, anyways, this goes back to the idea that, a lot of people, you ask, like, why some people aren't responsive to sharing the gospel to them, or responsive when you say, vaccines are bad to some people, or you try and what people have been referring to as waking people up, that sort of a thing. And we always kind of say, as it goes back to the whole Matrix thing, where you got Morpheus talking to Neo, and Morpheus is saying, yeah, these people that are in the Matrix, they don't want to be woken up, and they're kind of looked at as people who will work against you to stop you in what you're doing. They don't want to hear it because they're large part when you're referring to spreading the gospel is they're caught up in their sin and they don't want to be told that they're a sinner. Okay. Part of the reason, generally, anyone who's a hardcore atheist, that's for certain, right? They don't want anyone to expose them. But it doesn't just have to be that. It's everything nowadays in the world. It's everything. And it all relates back to the fact that, there's a lot less faith in God, a lot less faith in the Bible, or anything. Not just in Jesus Christ, but in any religious organizations out there. The hardcore atheists, the most recent data that I'd seen was around 2.5% to 3% of people identify themselves as atheist, which miraculously is the exact same number of people who identify as gay. 2.5% to 3%, right? I bet there's a little bit of overlap in that population. I do have the video on that if you want to search for that on my channel, where I go through all the Pew Research studies. And this is from 4 or 5 years ago. It's a pretty old video. However, the people that identify as like agnostic or nothing or don't know has gone from like probably 5% or 7%, I think it was when I did that video, to nowadays probably like 20 or 30. Okay. It's just something and people will say, yeah, I believe in God. And that's all they leave it up to. Don't think about it too much, out of sight, out of mind, whatever. So they don't really have any moral compass. They don't have any principles. They don't have anything. And if you don't have anything, this is why I say not all cults are that bad, because sometimes people need some structure and they need something to do. And if they got you showing up to church on Saturdays, well, better than doing meth down at the pool hall, right? Just saying. It's not as good as you could be doing, but it's better than a lot of other things, right? They got their gospel right. They got their other stuff right. Are they keeping you out of trouble? Right? But what happens, though, is people have other things that they're going to worship, of course. And the Bible tells us about this. And, government is a big one because, unfortunately, you have a whole generation of people who just rode the high life living off credit and, stuck their kids with the bill. And then my generation gets in there. And then a lot of us are trying to, we're caught in the trap of paying off these things, but we're still living the tail end of the good life, right? Where we can still buy houses, $300,000 houses, even though we work at a place for $10 an hour, right? Because we're still living off that fake credit system of invented money, right? The invented fiat system, which is, right now, of course, it's going through its end phases. But then now we have the new generation, the Generation Y, millennials generations in there, who's like, yeah, there's nothing left for these guys. And they're upset about it. And gradually people are waking up, but they're still stuck in this kind of, no one told them who God was. No one gave them any principles. No one gives them any morals, any foundations, other than people seem to value people with a lot of Facebook friends, or people seem to value, if you have a YouTube channel with a lot of subscribers, you must be somebody important, and putting trust and faith in things like that are really kind of vain and pointless. And what does this all come down to is like, well, if you don't make any effort at all in finding the truth, or if you think that you have the truth or you just don't care. A lot of people just don't care, you know. This is whatever is entertaining. Just entertainment, 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 entertainment. Feed me, feed me, feed me. Entertainment, right? And then when they get tricked, they get mad, and then they blame you for telling them the truth, okay? And this is the same thing that's been going on forever and ever and ever, all right, guys? You've heard the expression, you're shooting the messenger, right? The person's just trying to do a good thing. Jesus was just trying to do a good thing. They had to kill him, all right? Anybody who comes in and wants to help save people or make people aware so they don't, you know, hurt themselves or hurt their families or hurt their kids or whatever, and they come in and tell somebody that it's something they don't want to hear, they'll kill the person who brought them the message and continue right on doing the thing that now they know what they're doing is not right. It's maybe dishonest, it's maybe criminal, but everybody else is doing it, and I might get a little bit of flack if I don't just go along with what everybody's doing. So now you know why guys like me and stuff don't really want to stick our necks out very much anymore. And a lot of people are getting kicked off of YouTube. I'm sure I got probably a good 6 months, who knows. But guys like me, we're not going to stick our necks out anymore. All right? Everybody has had their chance. All right? We've had it. And as to, you know, why certain people are gonna use different names and not give their locations and all this stuff like that, it's because it's very dangerous for people who tell the truth. And I don't think that this story ever gets told. People hear about, people in the conspiracy world and stuff like this, hear about world leaders who get knocked off for not doing the thing that the New World Order wants, or whoever is in charge of this stuff, right? The guy in one of the African countries, and like a guy in Brazil or something, the presidents down there, they said they tested kiwi fruit and it came down with coronavirus, and they said, no, thank you, we don't want your corona tests, and now they're dead. They're like 50 years old, died of heart attacks, right? They're truthers who got killed for telling the truth, and they were the presidents of countries. What do you think happens to people like me? Now, I'm too small for anybody to care about. That's why it's a blessing that they've relegated me to not advertising me or not doing anything with me, because then, hey, just the people who actually want to find truth will actually find the truth. But these people up there is like, well, why these stars knew all about the Weinstein? Why didn't they say anything about what Weinstein was doing? Why didn't they say anything about Spielberg? Why didn't they say anything about, geez, all these Hollywood actors that are molesting kids and are all gays and everything and all messing with people on sets? Why isn't anybody doing anything about it? Because that's the way that the program works. You ain't going to get no job, right? Somebody comes out with it and they're going to be persecuted and chastised and kicked out. That's how it is. You won't have a career no more. It's not until the guy finally messes with somebody who is powerful enough to take him down that everybody else will come out of the closet, right? And it's getting to that point where it's like, it's not even worth it from the perspective of personal safety and for any sort of ramifications that could happen to me. You know, being that this is the internet and my views are all over the place, right? Let's say that I need something from somebody who has seen my videos and they disagree with them or something. Do you think that I'd be getting that job? Do you think that I'm going to be getting any sort of anything if the person didn't like me or didn't like these narratives that I might talk about? Suppose they're a staunch atheist or a hardcore evolutionist or something like that. You don't think that would have a kickback on me? What benefit is there at all for me to go up here and speak the truth on the internet? Really? No, I have my own reasons, but I want you guys to think about that because it doesn't get brought up enough. I've been lucky in such a sense that I don't have to worry a ton about what other people think about me. in this particular moment in time, and I haven't in the last 5 years or so. But in the future, I might have to. And none of these videos are going to go anywhere unless they completely delete my channel. Okay? And you know how it is. Somebody finds a tweet from some guy that they did 15 years ago when they were in college, and then they want to come after him for being a misogynist or a Adolf Hitlerio or something like that. And that's the society we live in now. Killing messengers and messengers and messengers. Now, what do I have on the screen here? This is To the Lifeboats. He's another channel who got kicked off of YouTube. And I listen to him because I'm not a Q guy. I'm not a Q narrative Trump guy, but I find it entertaining, and some things are very fascinating. There's some very occult things kind of going on in the background. That's just, it's entertainment, right? It's just entertainment. And he does a stream like once a week. And at the end, someone posted a thing where there's a messenger who's trying to tell the people a message. And the guy gets, well, you'll see. We'll play it.
Anyway, that's where it's going. All right, somebody's throwing me something to wrap up with.
Wear your masks. Social distance. Isolate yourselves. Wear your masks. Social distance. Just trust the narrative. You've never been lied to about anything. The government loves you. Trust the media. You're all doing a...
See, that's me. I would have no problem doing that. None. But in my little town, it'd be like 10 farmers looking around going, what's his problem, right?
Great job. Keep wearing those masks, guys. Keep wearing those masks. You two are a little bit too close together. Sorry, can you guys social distance, you and the orange? Come on, you're right next to all these people over here. Come on, think of your grandparents. This is crazy. But other than that, you're all doing a great job. Trust in the narrative. Do what the news tells you. Do what the government tells you. You're all doing a great job. Congratulations. We love you. Congratulations for following the narrative and trusting the news and not questioning anything. You're all doing a great job complying with the narrative. There is definitely not a psychological operation happening when you're convinced of a reality that's based on fear that has nothing to do with what's actually happening.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right. So this is how people react when they get the truth. As with violence. Because people know, all right? People know that it's all a scam. They know the government's been abusing them for a long time. They know they get on a flight, they're getting abused. And especially men are pretty upset that they're too big a chumps. They're too softy. They got too much soy in them to do anything about it. It's a lot easier to attack the pencil neck with the bullhorn, isn't it? Than to actually try to dig themselves out of the problem. Can't take it. These people are little weakling, little cowardly people. All right? But this, unfortunately, is probably the majority of people out there who are living in cognitive dissonance land. And this is what happens. They hear the truth and they immediately lash out because it is the truth. Why do atheists only attack Christianity? Because it is the truth. You don't hear them going after Buddha, right? You don't hear them rallying against the flying spaghetti monster. Oh, no. They're going to question and scrutinize everything to do with the Bible. And this is what happens, man. You can get away with this cognitive dissonance crap for a little bit, but why do you really think that people just get dementia for the heck of it in old age? You know, there is some things to point to say things like vaccines and things like that mess up people's brains, but guess what? You know, my dad, he's in his upper 80s, who is a good state man, right? He's principled and has some morals to him. But he does believe in the healthcare system. I'm sure he's gotten every single vaccine, every single shot you could possibly give a guy. And he's still fairly with it. His memory is at least 15 minutes. But anyways, you know, He hasn't lost all his marbles. He doesn't live in cognitive dissonance land. Husks of themselves with no principles, no morality, looking around for entertainment. Feed me, entertain me, feed me, entertain me, feed me, entertain me. And you know, those zombie movies are all making fun of you guys, man. Probably not the people that watch me, right? At least not anymore. It used to be for a long time. Till they pulled sort of the plug on me. But, you know, all those zombie movies, they don't care if they lost money. They're going to put them out to show what they think of you. This is what they think. And it's not like it's far from the truth, is it? It all comes down to it, and you say, like, why didn't somebody warn us about this and that and the other thing? It's like, well, how much are we going to keep putting our neck out? Anyways, we'll keep watching this, and then we're going to be done.
Look at him responding with
This is
violence
assault with a deadly
and
weapon, by the
anger.
way.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. You're insane, bro. You're insane. Get the fuck away from this guy. Dude, get the fuck out of here, man. I'm gonna kick you in the fucking head. You're trying to wake people up because you've been psyoped. We love you people, but you've been psychologically, you're
Damaged.
literally been psyoped.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Okay, are you happy now? Are you happy now, you fucking asshole? We're trying to wake you people up over here. You've been psyoped, brother. You've been psyoped.
Yeah.
That's what a psychological operation is. Yeah, you want to know the truth? You want to know the truth? The same number of people died this year and last year and last year.
True.
You've been psychologically manipulated, my friend. We still love you.
And all of the normal killers, whoa, death rates plummeted from those.
So anyways, crimes against the state. You know, where I am from, doing something like that to somebody and busting their window is a felony. They'll charge you with more, but you will do 4 months in jail, charged with at least 6 months. Behind bars, you'll do 4 months. Okay? Very, very serious stuff. And then you'll have to go to anger management, probably be on probation for 5 years. Very serious stuff. This dude in the middle of riding his bicycle thought nothing of winging it at a messenger who is just telling people the truth. And it doesn't matter if he's being smart about it and kind of goofing about it, which should make it actually more acceptable. He's not going out there like a street preacher is and going, and you're a sinner, and you're a sinner, and you're a sinner, and getting in people's faces. They're doing a drive-by. And he's not shouting like Alex Jones in the thing. He's just talking through the bullhorn. Okay? And the other horrible thing about this video is that nobody else around is doing anything to stop the person from attacking the van. He attacked it, and then he left, and then came back to bust the window out, and nobody did anything. Anything. And that's the society we live in. Why should this guy keep doing what he's doing? Well, maybe he's making a living off of it, but most people aren't that do this stuff. Most people, we can't because we spend so much time fighting everything. You know, whether or not be Facebook throwing you off, Google throwing you off, having to spend our own resources out of pocket just to get out there and get information out to people. Is it really worth it? Well, we do it for our own reasons, but we don't get a ton of support for it. We get everything thrown at us. Depending on where you're from. I know that there are some places in the country that are all like the guy with the bullhorn. Okay? I'm in Minnesota. We're a bunch of people with a bunch of bikes winging them at cars in Minnesota. Right? Goose step in Minnesota, we like to call it. Anyways, this is Sam I Am from Two to Lifeboats, and he's going to make some closing comments, and I think that's going to be it.
and just got shifted into COVID. Why? Because they changed the reporting requirements. They skipped the public hearing. They skipped the hearing with the medical professionals, all against the law, but fuck it. We're the government. We can do whatever we want.
Now
you need to wake the fuck up.
Now he's blaming the government, and this is what he does in his channel, is a lot of blaming the government, this, taking our rights, the government's doing this, the government's doing that, and that's wrong. It's the people. It's us doing it. Us. Who runs the government? The people. And yes, you can say, oh, you know, the world elite, blah, blah, blah. Look, the people are the elite. They can't do anything unless we allow them to do it. Okay? But if everyone just sits around waiting to be entertained and fed by the government, then they're daddy, obviously. Then you got to do what daddy says. And if daddy says to throw bikes and smash people's windows who dissent, to throw people up into concentration camps because they voted for Trump, or whatever daddy says, this is what the people are going to do. Like a bunch of big babies, a bunch of big children. And then you wonder why people like me say, hey, go take your shots. I'm done. I'm done. I'll go off into the woods. Go take your shots.
And that guy deserves, well, to pay for the window at the very least. And whatever damage he did to the truck. I think I would have jumped out and taken his ass down. But it's because I'm not a very good Quaker. All right, that was a great video. Thank you.
The person who
Had
smashed
not even seen that.
the person who smashed the window would be held up as the hero, and if you got out and fought back against him, then you'd be arrested. That's how most places are, because that was an Asian guy.
But that's what you deal with, right? Eventually, you know, Frederick Douglass in his sort of autobiography, one of the things he talks about after he ran away and he got captured and was broken and back into slavery, he was talking about going on the run again and getting to freedom. And the other slaves were like, you can't do that. You're stealing from master. He's good to us. He gives us a place to stay and takes care of us and makes sure we're okay. And like, if you run away, you're stealing from us. And they, of course, they're the other monkeys in the cage, right? They don't want to get sprayed with water. They don't want someone going for those bananas. Master's going to be upset if Frederick runs away. And this is what you get. People like that who have so bought into the paradigm. And they've told other.
What he's explaining there is that, and they've done this experiment with people too, is where you've got a situation where you've got monkeys in a cage and bananas on top of a ladder, and a monkey goes up to go grab the bananas, and every time a monkey does that, they get sprayed with really cold water until the monkeys figure out that they get sprayed when they get anytime anyone goes up there. So anytime anyone tries to go up there to go get the bananas, the other monkeys will pull that monkey down. And then they start replacing the monkeys. Okay? And then eventually all the monkeys are replaced. Not one original monkey who is sprayed with water is in the cage, but they're still pulling each other down off the ladder because they've been trained by the people in there that, oh, we pull each other off the ladder. And you think, well, that's just monkeys and they probably communicate. Well, people do the same thing. They do the thing where it was a doctor's office and every time someone came in, everyone stood up. And then they gradually replaced the people until there was one person in there who just stood up every time someone came in and they had no idea why. You know, there's social experiments like that all the time. But of course, you know, people would actually have to go out and go find truth to discover these things. Anyways, we'll see what he says here.
And the other slaves were like, you can't do that. You're stealing from master. He's good to us. He gives us a place to stay and takes care of us and makes sure we're okay. And like, if you run away, you're stealing from us. And they, of course, they're the other monkeys in the cage, right? They don't want to get sprayed with water. They don't want someone going for those bananas. Master's going to be upset if Frederick runs away. And this is what you get. people like that who have so bought into the paradigm, and they've told other people that they need to buy into the paradigm too, because this is serious, and acknowledging that they were lied to about this thing, that the results were manipulated, that the tests were manipulated, that the death counts were manipulated, means that they went around and lied to all of their friends and family. And
Yep.
people would rather respond with violence against someone, even if the truth is on their side, than admit that that's what they did. That's where cognitive dissonance comes from. As humans, we like to be right. And this is the kind of response that you get when it's obvious somebody's wrong, and you don't want the consequences of that. So there you go. Thanks, everybody. Hope you
And just so you know, understanding and knowing the truth and then lashing out as opposed to and then continuing on in your garbage is sinful activity. It's being a liar, and depending on what it is, it's hurting people. Okay, I wonder why God doesn't put a stop to a lot of the nonsense that goes on down on earth here. Okay, why doesn't God strike Bill Gates down? He's hurt so many people. Bill Gates never injected anybody with anything, ever. Okay. People did that to themselves. That's all there is to it. And you can get mad at old Max because he says, hey, it's your fault. Oh, you took a vax and you got paralyzed from it? Well, I feel bad for you, but it's your own fault. It's how it is. People want the sympathy card. They want to be taken care of. They want to be coddled like children their entire life. If you want to be looked out for, you got to be a Christian, and you got to pray for stuff and have your Father in heaven look out for you, not the government. The government's not going to do anything but leech and steal and suck off you. You know this. You know this. Every generation before, no matter how good the generations before have had it, every single one of them said, politicians are a bunch of liars. Lawyers are a bunch of thieves and liars. Bankers are a bunch of thieves and liars. Every generation before. And what do we hear today? Well, Fauci said, the World Health Organization, and blah, blah. I mean, come on, guys. It's passing the buck. It's passing the responsibility. And all I ask is don't shoot the messenger. You're going to need them people. You're going to need a few of them people around. Right? And don't be surprised one day when maybe we're not. With that, we are going to be out of here.